chairman.
I'm not. Okay, just so we can see that Selina is going to go down. I did, I gabbled. Yeah, I was going to. So just to remind you that Selina, members of the public. Standing, yeah, order 3. So we're actually recording. Okay. So on the agenda, number 2, resignation of chairman and election of a new chairman. Members are advised that notification of the resignation of chairman has been received by the clerk. Accordingly, members are now asked to propose and second nominations for the office of chairman, and if there's more than one nominee to vote.
Chairman, can I make a point?
Yes.
First of all, I did send an email to Barry saying that I couldn't continue as chairman of this committee.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't send it to the clerk, I sent it to Barry. I've had no communication from the clerk. I never saw the email that was sent out by the clerk to other members. So I only found out through other people that I had formally stood down forthwith, and I hadn't said that. So, you know, I find the protocol there was a little bit insensitive.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
Can I proposal? Are you happy to stay as chair? I mean, one may be not happy, but would you stay chair?
If things get better.
Well, I was going to say your best place here to do it, I think, personally.
Yeah, and I agree. I totally agree with that. Seriously, I mean, and I think the fact that if you've got some issues, then to bring them to us so that we can discuss with that, because they're really important issues at the end of the day. But I mean, I second that.
Okay. Well, I have to say the reason I stood down, and I was quite happy to make it public, was on the bus situation, where councillors at a full council meeting completely overrode the finance committee, and as far as I was concerned, we had not authorised. Yes, it had been put in a budget, but it hadn't been authorised, and it hadn't gone through the finance committee, and there was no review of the business case. And 2 things that the clerk had sent out. One was the original business case that no one actually looked at to say, is it still sensible? And the risk analysis, which clearly identified that if there was no money forthcoming, the bus would be stopped. So I could not honestly, in that position, having completely ignored anything that I'd said from a finance point of view, continue.
Do you think, on reflection, that you could have then noted and put like a grievance in about that as such, to be able to say, well, the thing is that you've made a relevant point. To me, it's supposed to have gone through finance, and it didn't at the end of the day. And it clearly says in the standing orders that it's to go through finance if there's a finance committee, and it didn't go through finance.
I'd like to get some judgment from officers. Mark, can I ask you whether you felt that this was correctly authorised?
Well, in the sense that the finance committee should be central to sort of directing the finances, and budgets, advising, and putting it all in place, everything finance related. When it comes then to decisions that are made contrary to potentially what the finance committee said, as far as I see it, the full council can override the finance committee should they wish at the end of the day, because that's the senior committee in that sense. But because they have to order, but it seems to me it's a little odd if there is a finance committee that they're not going to be, the advice and the work that's put into it isn't heeded.
Yeah. The process, as I see it, is, and this is why we changed the finance meeting to be after the management meeting, right? The process should be that any issues are discussed at the management meeting or full council, right? And if there's a financial budgetary issue, then that is referred back to the finance committee to be signed off to say, is this a valid business case? Have we got all the process in place to be able to manage it, right? And that wasn't done. And my view, and it's still my view, is from a prudence point of view, not whether we're going to get the money from the 106, but the prudence point of view is we have got no underwritten funding. Right? It might happen, but it might not. From a financial point of view, it's not there, so we haven't got that understanding. So until we have some confirmation, then that doesn't stack up. So that was why I was saying, you know, we haven't got any authority to spend that money. It means we're taking it back out of residents' money, wherever it's reserves or whatever, and that hasn't been agreed. So if we can resolve the process and get it right, then I'll be happy to continue. But we do need to make sure the processes are in place to deal with it. And I would like officers to make sure that if we have those processes, that we actually follow them. You know, and I firmly believe that anything that is authorised through full council needs first of all to come to the finance committee to make sure that we've dotted the i's and crossed the t's, and the management committee will say, we want to do this. Is there money available? Yes. Okay, that gets then sent to the finance committee that says, yes, there's money available, now we need a business case, right? And we need all the analysis that goes with that business case. We need resident support, we need the consultation reports, you know, and that's if that's the case. And again, that happened with the lights. And the bit that really does bother me is, here we are trying to spend £5,000 or £6,000 a month, which hasn't been authorised, and yet £16,000 a year.
It's been queried.
We've argued since January.
I can't believe that we haven't got that sorted.
Well, it's pretty much there.
Yeah, the 1st of December.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I've not heard anything because we haven't gone back and formally accepted it.
Well, no, I think it's going to
Okay.
some email exchanges.
So, Alan, are you prepared to come back on as chairman?
If everyone is twisted arm, yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, would you like to come back on and...
Consider yourself
Oh,
twisted.
do I have to do that?
Can I just confirm who proposed and seconded?
I proposed.
I'll second.
Yeah.
I third.
Jamie,
Third.
you seconded, yes.
Yes, please.
We do need to make sure we get
Yeah,
it
no,
right.
I agree. It
Yeah.
needs to be right.
Thank you for that confidence. I'm not confident, but thank you for your confidence. Right, here we go again.
Okay,
So, let's go through. So where we've got resignations, so appointments. So I've now appointed. Apologies for absence. We'll go through that.
Yeah, I'm just...
So I haven't signed them. I don't think have I?
Yes, Chairman, apologies for absence have been received from Councillor Banut, Councillor Mona and Councillor Sunga and Councillor Scratton.
Right. Got Atar?
No.
Okay.
I thought he said he was coming.
Yeah, he did give me
So
the impression
it's
it's probably going to be late.
Okay. So fine. Confirmation of the minutes. Anybody got any comments on the minutes? I've got a comment on the minutes.
Only that I would not have agreed to it.
But not agreed to.
Is that the one with the buses? I haven't read one.
No.
Second.
No. One of the things that I wanted to raise was that I wanted a list of all the projects in the minutes with the potential funding for them. I know it's gone into the agenda. There's a list of projects in the agenda, but I wanted it. Sorry?
It's the earmark reserve.
Well, no, there's two. If you look under item 7, draft budget and precept. This is why I wanted it in the minutes. No, yes. But if you look in the agenda,
Yeah.
right, item 8. So we've got a number of projects in there, but that's not all of them. And what I was hoping to do was, in preparation for that budget, have a list of all the projects with all the identified expenditure, so that we had a view
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of what was going on in the
of
breakdown of it.
and that really doesn't mean to say we have to have a costed budget. All we need to say is, well, it's going to cost us approximately £10,000 for the cemetery, or 20,000, or it's an order of magnitude. So is it 20 or 200? That was why I was trying to get a view on that. And I think it's important that we do have a total view from the Finance Committee of what the forecast expenditure is. So If that's the only amendment I would say, I will sign them off as true record if everyone agrees.
Yeah.
And it's the 12th today. Okay. So let's have a look at the agenda. So, confirmation of declaration of interest. Anybody? No declaration. There's report from the responsible financial officer. So there was a comment I had on that. Where's my glasses? So we've got two separate appendices here. So we've got the report. Okay, so there's two reports here. There's the one which is the budget costs or spend up until near the end of month 7, or up until month 7. So that's up till November. And then we've got an appendix 2, which is earmarked reserves. So, Mark, do you want to take us through?
Certainly. First of all, as you can see there, it's the usual appearance of the expenditure and income of the various codes. Now, over the last 2 meetings, there were reports in terms of some of the anomalies, or whether some of the codes that were either larger or smaller than might have been expected, with some of the explanations, and that hasn't really changed. So it's not really very much different to report, other than those that were overspent are still the same for the same reasons in that sense. Now obviously we've still got another 2 months to go before the end of the financial year, and obviously I think the next meeting will be far more significant towards the end of the year, when you can see exactly where we're coming in terms of whether there'll be contribution towards reserves or whether we will be slightly overspent. So it's still quite some way to go, but there's nothing, as I say, nothing particularly different from the last few months in terms of the overall pattern. I won't say anything specific. There are obviously a lot of lines of budget and a lot of detail.
Well, that is. I mean, I've got a question, which is movement to and from general reserve, 184,000, on page 1, and I've tried to work out where that came from. Because I was trying to work out whether it was the sum of one, two of these
I think
figures.
that's the difference between the incomes at the top, 291,000, and the expenditure 107, which in effect leaves you at that 184,000.
Oh, okay. So that's the total preset, or the income at the top. So that is.
So those are the actual year-to-date figures so far.
Right. So it's not movement to and from reserve. It's year to date.
Not in effect. No, I mean that would become that at the end of the year in terms of.
Yeah. So at the moment,
that's how it's.
That's year to date. So okay, that explains that one. And we've got quite a lot of money that hasn't been spent, although we've budgeted for things. Just as an example, taking things off the top. So we've said we've got £1,200, £1,220 for printing and stationery. We've spent 300.
Printing and stationery.
4100.
Budgeted 1,200.
Yeah,
300 and something. Yeah.
So we're sort of just more than halfway. We're not going to spend the rest of that, are we?
Is that
I wouldn't have thought so.
an environmental target of not printing as much?
Yeah. I understand, but
I think what we're probably missing though still is 2 quarters worth of station printing bills. So there are still some bills still to come in. So it will be considerably more than a quarter spent by the end of the year. But you're probably right that it won't.
So we've over budgeted in a lot of cases. We've been very optimistic in terms of.
It's based upon obviously variances for one reason or another from last year. For whatever reason.
Maybe we need to think about how we account for things more realistically rather than.
Can I ask what's the difference? Sundry expenses and general expenses?
Sundry expenses normally are going to be all the consumables, like all the food and
Right.
confectionery. General is, for want of a better term, something that doesn't fit anywhere else.
Yeah.
What's left over? Yeah, I think some of the explanations cause a bit of head scratching. I don't know whether I know we've got limitations in terms of our software. Yeah, is there any sort of certain amount of?
What, you mean the headings?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
well, those you can create whatever codes and descriptions you wish. So if you feel it's appropriate to break some headings up into something more detailed, you can just create far more code. So.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about Rochelle's comment about sundry expenses. You know,
Yeah.
brackets food.
I mean, I think that's an historic one. I mean, obviously it was inherited from before I started.
Yeah, it's just a question of
Kit Kats.
Kit Kat. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
making
yeah.
it a lot more realistic. The other thing that I think of, we've got where has it gone? We've got salaries split up into different places. So we've got salaries for the cemetery separated from the salaries for, and I don't know whether we can bring those together because we're talking about here year to date, well, full year. What are we talking about? Current 69,000 plus. What's the other one? 40,000. So it's 7. So I think is that it? 69,000. Oh, well, it's plus the on costs as well. We've got to put the on costs on it because we've got quite a high proportion of salary compared to precept.
Yeah, I think those are a couple of the biggest.
Yeah.
Those expenditures.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got any questions?
Slightly unrelated, but kind of related. Software-wise, I know we've discussed this before. What we updated our software in terms
What
of
general? What you mean, like the Windows?
No, because we're not. You know, the VAT. I remember you're.
Oh, that I'm still waiting for confirmation that that's now up and running to use. At the moment, we're submitting.
Oh,
online.
this is the VAT. Oh, this
Still
is the VAT.
It's
Yeah.
still an online submission, but it's not automatic yet.
Oh, this is
But
our
it's
software
well,
being
well,
modified.
Yeah.
We're compliant now.
Oh yeah. No, I think I'm told it's our software is just waiting for HMRC to do whatever they need to do.
So it's slightly unrelated.
Yeah.
I can see that we've got festive lighting as a heading with a budget of 1,000 and nothing spent on it. What would we?
No.
That's
that?
the costs of actually putting the lights up.
Yeah.
I've got the
Down,
lights.
so it
Yeah.
actually hasn't happened yet.
Christmas.
So,
So,
Just slightly unrelated, I've contacted the usual erector of the lights and they penciled us in.
Good.
When are they putting them up?
I think it's that last week. They haven't given me the exact date yet, that's when they normally do it, but I have contacted them. I've also contacted our regular electrician to have a look at the lights on Book Parade and make sure they're working with it, because every year the various machinations and those lights get waterlogged or some problem with them, so they have to be serious.
Fine.
So we'll probably end up spending that or around that.
okay.
So within things like the waste disposal insurance, equipment rental, are they not more or less the same every single year, but that's a minus figure? So are we under budgeted for that?
What are we looking at?
Page 3.
I'm sure it probably goes up and we're underestimated how much it's.
Yeah, because again, you see, some of these things relate to the garden contract, don't they?
I mean, for example, you mentioned waste. Now the waste obviously is completely out because of the additional expenditure on
Of Victory Hall.
the spoil.
Oh, the spoil.
Yeah, of course.
Which is a separate thing. that
Yeah.
you aren't
Yeah,
obliged
it's
to deal with. So that's over and above what was originally budgeted.
Right,
Yeah,
we've got
true,
we've
yeah.
got that costed somewhere else.
So
haven't
yeah,
we?
that is detailed.
Yeah, I've seen that somewhere. There was 3 somewhere in there. I did see it, but we'll have a look at that in a
And the
minute.
insurance. So we've spent more on insurance. Is that not a normal thing, a regular thing, every single year? What went up?
Insurance.
On page
210.
3.
Assuming it went up and we underestimated much more.
I can't remember exactly what that relates to.
Oh, that one.
To be honest, I'll have to check into that. It obviously relates to some of the equipment. It's the mower and
Yeah.
the ITV, but I have to double check.
One of the things that I think we're going to have to do is look at the garden contract. How long have we been running it now? A year?
In-house, yes. This is our second year.
Right, so we need to look at that in comparison to what we were spending before, because I know we said we were spending £40,000 a year on it, and we need to look at that in terms of our total allocated cost, which is staff costs and everything else.
And the quality of the work.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's better.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's better. But I think we need to look at that in comparison to, we need to be able to prove that this is value for money and we have got the best deal. And especially now, I think there's something coming up in the budget where additional staff are being looked at. So, that needs to be looked at in terms of...
Whereas, again, go back to the business case, is it needed? Is it quite... I don't know the answer.
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. We need to get some feel for we said we were going to save this amount of money. Are we saving that money with all the rental of the equipment plus the staff plus that sort of thing? Because I know we had this conversation earlier on in talking to Scott that when Sam was on leave, he couldn't mow the lawn, so we needed to bring extra staff in. So so that's an additional cost that we need to think about.
You feel like we're going to say something?
I'm not quite sure how many staff were brought in.
Well,
No, we needed more.
we needed more. So what we were saying was, when Sam was on holiday, Scott's comment was, I'm trying to dig graves and I need to mow the grass.
Well, that's the difficulty that I've discussed with Chairman in terms of some of the ideas that he had, is that during the summer, you've got it's famine and feast. During the winter, there's not so much to do really, and you can manage with one person. In the summer, for the peak periods, it's all hands to the pump, and it's that's the difficulty.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
understand that, but what that means is, in terms of our overall cost envelope, we're saying that we've got these staff allocated to doing this work. Have we got enough staff? If we need additional staff to do that, would it be better to subcontract the whole thing out and take some of that management responsibility and staff? I'm not saying it is, but we need to ask those questions. I feel we need to ask those questions and be confident to residents that we've got it right.
And I also think that then that falls into the salaries on costs. Going back onto this bit here where it says about the salaries increase for Sam once his apprenticeship has been completed.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, absolutely right. I haven't got to that bit. Yeah. So I'm just thinking we've got a business case that we've followed. We've said it's going to save us money, and it may well do. But I don't know.
The analysis of what it's doing.
You're running out, are you?
And I'm just checking it's still working. Sorry.
Is the elastic band's broken? Is it? So yeah, I just think we need to be clear that what we're doing. So that's that analysis. Now on Appendix 2, I was trying to work out what this actually means. I understand what was allocated to the bus, but I didn't understand why it was 95,600 because I thought it was 97,000 was the year.
Now that's effectively what's left in the pot that I was asked over the years to put together to fund the bus. It was agreed from quite some time ago, and that has diminished as the amounts of money have been paid for the bus. So that's purely what's left in theory, to go on paying for the
Right,
buses.
but
Right.
that,
Can I ask a question?
yeah,
please?
go on.
Mark, can you just remind me when that was agreed? Can you
Last few
remember?
years, no, I have to go back through minutes in terms of.
Was this the John Natman increase in precept?
No, it was obviously from the time when he was chairman of finance, in terms of creating the specific fund which the buses would be funded from. So that's a combination of monies received as 106s, then minus what was paid for the buses, and money is put into that particular pot. That's from several years ago.
Right. But we
But
never got...
as it stands, nothing's ever been changed, so that's just what's left within that pot.
Okay, can it be
And in
changed?
theory,
Yeah.
whatever the cost is for the remaining bit of the bus up until April, if we're being funded, whatever that might be, however much per month, I think it's meant 6,000 or whatever it might be, that in theory is still to come out of that figure.
Right. Okay. So that's the allocated reserves or earmark reserves. Victory Hall. I thought we
Go
had.
back to that again. I'm really
What?
sorry. if you
Oh,
don't
go
mind.
back to the bus. Carry on. Yeah.
The reason I'm questioning it is because we still don't have a real business case
No.
for this bus. 5,000 or whatever it is coming out every single month. And again, it's public money.
I think that's absolutely right. I think all that I'm looking at here at the moment is what have we allocated, not what have we spent.
Okay.
So I think that there's a difference. So I just wanted to get some understanding and comfort of what these sums represent and what's in there, and then we'll go on to look at the detail. So we've got 95,000, which is less whatever the initial sum was, less that. But that doesn't include any 106s because we haven't got those.
No.
So that's what was put in. Right, Victory Hall. Now I understand we put in the budget 30,000 for potential risk of.
This is separate to that.
Oh,
That's got nothing to do with it. That 30,000 is part of the budget. That's a line within the budget.
right.
This is again a sum of money that was put together by the previous finance committees when they were looking ahead to what was in theory at the time the redevelopment of the whole site, when that was still
That needs to be
and it
reviewed
was
as well.
envisaged that certain sum of money would therefore then be
So this is a
used
capital
to
sum.
spend on furnishing it and all the rest of it. So
Okay.
that still sits there. Clearly, the project is now.
Okay, that's fine.
So we can review that as well.
So
Yeah.
we need to look at that.
Yes, okay.
And then the other thing that I don't understand is the Chigwell Amenities Fund.
Yeah, anyone don't
Well, that-
understand.
What?
Yeah, I don't
What is
understand
it?
That was renamed, and I think that is as a result of that big increase in the precept that was made some years ago for what was referred at the time, I think, as the Fighting Fund.
The fighting,
Alright,
that's
yeah.
exactly, yeah.
That's where it
Yeah.
sits at the moment. Call it what you will.
Right,
It's-
okay. For those members that probably wouldn't understand this, when Leslie Wagland was on the council, and John and Brian and co, and what was being looked at that time was the local plan and the neighbourhood plan, and they were suggesting that we needed to have something in our reserves to pay for a legal challenge on the local plan, right? And they were saying that neighbourhood plan is key, and we're looking for some money to be put aside for a judicial review. Yeah, I know. You know.
That's a drop in the ocean for a judicial review.
Exactly,
Or a local
you know,
plan.
and they raised the precept to have this fighting fund. I think that was right, wasn't it, Mark?
Yes, and it was, I think it's only subsequently, a year or two ago, it was asked to be simply renamed because it
Right.
was no longer
Okay.
that, and it was for,
Right.
it's now
Okay.
sitting there as some money for the
Right.
benefit of Chigwell residents, or whatever the council decided
Okay.
to do with it, effectively.
So,
Lights
right.
on.
And then we've got
Exactly.
equipment, which is
That's simply an ongoing fund that's built up annually to look towards the replacement.
Depreciation,
So depreciation in effect of the digger,
Mhm.
Okay.
which is ours,
Okay.
the ITV, which is ours, it will need to
Right.
be replaced at some stage.
Okay. So, and things like the telephone system and
Not the telephones, because that's hired, that's a rental, that one.
okay, and the
That's the big
IT.
equipment, so big items of
Okay.
plant and equipment.
So I think the problem we've got here is everyone's struggling to understand what this is made up of. So I don't know whether we need to do, say, 23,000 is made up of this, and this. People feel that they'd like to know more about
Like all
how it's constructed.
Subheadings almost. What's in
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's just another report.
It's come out purely because it has to have a one-line
Yeah.
for the actual accounts.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
So if
But
an explanation.
Yeah, but in other words, when we've got this explanation,
Yeah.
could I know it's asking for more work, but I think because there's so many new councillors and we haven't got half the new ones here, it would be, I think, helpful to be able to break these things down in a way that people say, I understand what that means.
Yeah, I'll put a little story to each one.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Now, the other question I had was, I think I worked it out that when you add these up, it comes to 327,000, 327,200. I think that's what I worked out. But what I don't know is what is the total reserves that we have? Is that reported somewhere?
Well, it can be reported, because clearly at the moment that's all part and parcel of the budget that's sitting within those income and expenditure.
Right, but if we've got reserves, and one of the things that has been pointed out by auditors previously is we've got a surplus of reserves that we need to. Yeah,
I don't think it's ever been pointed out that it's too high. It's been pointed out that it's approximately correct for our size of council.
I
It sits about 100 and it should be about one. I've been advised it should be about roughly one third of
Yeah.
precept, which is what it is roughly.
But will we not
About
have to like
110.
half a million? Like,
Yeah, well, we're over that. We're about
I think
600 grand,
once
aren't
The overall money sitting in our bank accounts, which is made up of obviously these earmarked reserves, plus what is not already been spent
Yeah.
as part of our precept for this year. So in theory, what we should have, if once you take the earmarked reserves out of the picture, and what we've spent for the rest of the year that needs to go, what we should have left, if everything worked out exactly, is simply our reserve of about £110,000 left.
I think there's a difference in my mind. We've got capital expenditure. In other words, we're buying things, and then we've got revenue expenditure for month-on-month spend. And I see the earmarked reserves as capital for buying new things because it's not for ongoing stuff that's taken care of.
Yeah.
So it's a capital account.
That's just sitting there separately. Yeah.
So what is the total we've got then, in terms of?
I haven't added them together.
Right. Okay. So it would be nice to see how much we've got in total.
But effectively, the reserve. I mean, in theory, the reserve that is the reserve that we should be holding is obviously not listed there because that's our working reserve.
Yeah. No, I
The
think
actual sheet is about £110,000 last year. Obviously, will depend whether we.
so. That's the revenue account. Really.
That is simply sitting there for if the building burns down. Or for the emergencies that any council potentially might have to face. Therefore, you need a sum of money available to deal with that unforeseen crisis, emergency, whatever it might be.
Okay, so where would that be identified?
Well, that's not within these figures here. That can be generated at the moment, but it will give you a very high figure because it will still incorporate what we haven't spent for the rest.
Yeah. Well, I think, but I think what I'm saying is that we need a revenue account which says, and we should be able to identify that from what we've spent to what we haven't spent. So that would tell us, for instance, total 200,000, I think, isn't it? Total expenditure. I think because there's obviously, if we've got 291,000 income and we're going to be spending total year on S forecast is 231, 200,031. Is that the one? On the second page. So it's trying to see where what we've got, what our estimate is year to the total year spend. current actual. So that's the actual. So we've spent at the end of. Is that just the page?
Okay, that's just to date.
Yeah, that's it. So we spent that to date,
Mhm.
but we've got a budget that we put together last year.
Yeah,
that-
so
that-
that's the difference on that.
yeah, but
already.
the total.
Even just to date, so even to date on stage one listen, we've overspent on that.
Well, Victory Hall, we
expense.
didn't have anything,
Mm.
but that's income. So there's a difference, isn't there? There's income versus costs.
Mm.
So it's
There is. It's all over the show.
Yeah,
it's
it's
kind of like looking here at what the outgoings are here to what the income was. That's what I was looking at.
yeah, there must be a better way of laying it out that we can actually see it, but I don't know how we do that. Because we've got things like Victory Hall, we've got income, hiring casual income, so we've got a total of, was it 12,000, 13,000 something, if we look at Victory Hall, and then below that we've got costs, but we don't.
So yeah, so
Yeah,
you
it's
spent
income and costs.
£6,078
Mm.
and you've got some in.
But that was expected
That's expected.
because we had to
You
get
have
things
to-
up to standard.
because of the expenditure on
Mm.
fire system.
I'm trying to actually.
And there are certain limitations by the reports.
Yeah, I know, but
services.
normally you have positive income is shown, and the negative income is shown in brackets. So, but here on this Victory
This
Hall
is just a
thing,
variance.
no,
That's
I'm
what
not
it
looking
is,
at that.
yeah.
I'm looking at the actual. So we've actually made, what is it, 7,
Yeah, we've actually
7,
made
8,
that.
8, was that 10, 11, 12, 13, 187 is the income,
Mm.
right? And our costs, so in other words, 1080 and
Victory Hall.
yeah,
Mm.
1080 and 1081 are income.
Yeah.
And then the out.
And that-
Income is the total is shown 15,319.
Yeah, it's all of that. That's
Are
why.
they, is that, that's
That's why
gas?
you're
It's
confusing
all
me.
income, all those first under the 901, 1080. all the
But
way
gas
through to
isn't
1086.
income, is it?
But no,
It is,
that's
because that's what we've been paid, but as income, as a share of the costs.
Oh.
That makes sense
You
now.
have to pay the bills outright.
Right, so this is
But
what
then
Victory
we
Hall
pay
is.
as
This is what the
income.
members club have paid.
So
Yeah.
that's,
yeah. So we've made 15. We've made 15 and cost us 21 at the moment.
which is what's reflected in the expenditure figures below. That's the full
So, yeah,
costs
that's
of
full
all the
income.
utilities that we had to pay outright at the beginning. We then recoup half of that
Right.
as income from the members club as their
Okay.
share.
Okay.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
So that's income. So this is all income. So that's all positive.
Mhm.
And then the bit below is
And
negative.
that's
So they're
expenses.
all
That's all expenses.
they're all expenses. So they're bracketed.
Clean up.
Clean.
So they're outgoing. Right. Okay. So we've said we spent 21,000 and we've brought in 15,000. So we're subsidising it
Yes,
to the
6,000.
tune of 6,000. Okay.
Mm.
Well, there is considerable sums outstanding still. From the
Yeah.
members club.
I know. Yeah. So they're still not paying
No.
their proportion. Have they told us why?
They're paying, but slowly,
Well,
No, well,
at their own pace. Like
That's not good
their
enough.
treasurer has been in hospital and it's all got a bit behind, and I've got someone else's phone number to call on Thursday now to try and query and find out why the invoices haven't been paid.
Yeah. I mean,
Have they got new treasurers yet?
what do you mean,
No,
the trustees?
Trustees, yeah.
That's Victory Hall. That's not.
Well, Victory Hall were taking over that
Yeah,
one,
but
and they're going to be.
that's separate in terms of.
Oh,
at the
yeah, I'm
moment,
just asking if they have.
It's down to.
Because we've sent them the contract. Oh, because you were involved in this one.
Yeah, yeah. So
We've
that's
sent
the
them
contract with the solicitors, waiting for feedback, aren't we, Anthony?
Yes.
Right, so we've sent the contract to them.
But we only sign if they can show they've got the trustees,
Mm.
Yeah.
which is obviously another.
But I would think they're going to come back and query it. But that's okay. So that's that one. So in terms of earmarked reserves, we know what we've got here. We need to explain that. We also need to identify what the total is. So that's the sort of ongoing question. Now, we've got the report that goes with this. So, income and expenditure.
So the salaries and on costs of what I really wanted to ask. When we took on Harry and we took on Sam as apprentices, who said that we may need them afterwards? Because we don't have to give somebody a job, do we? It's because of being an apprentice. So who made the decision, and based on what, that we'd need them afterwards, that we'd keep them on?
I think it was, well, Michelle, I can't remember really.
I think it was something.
Decided that we needed the extra staff.
Yeah.
And it was always intended, should they satisfactorily complete their apprenticeship, they proved acceptable, then we would continue their employment.
I think from an HR point of view, that is a dangerous contract, a dangerous precedent, because normally an apprenticeship is in itself an apprenticeship. You know, you have a 2-year apprenticeship. At the end of that apprenticeship, that's the end of your contract, and depending on your achievement and whether there are any jobs.
There was never any guarantees.
No, but it was written into the contract, from what I could see, that we would on completion of their apprenticeship they'd be given a permanent job. That's a separate HR issue. I don't think.
But then it goes on to say there's also an allowance for recruiting of 2 additional members of staff and an additional apprentice for the cemetery and replacement admin.
Well,
I don't know what the justification.
Well, that's what I've been asked. This is what I was asked by the chairman to.
So did that come through the management committee?
No. Well, it was our last management committee. It was raised, but that was the first we knew about it.
And based on what?
Well, that was I think the questions we put back and asked. We need to understand if there is a need for it.
Because we don't even have staff meetings, so we don't even have like the feedback. What's needed.
I think that again, this is but process, and from the point of view of saying we may need a budget of X to support potentially this A, B, and C.
For example,
it's not unreasonable, but we need a business case to actually justify why we need extra staff.
Well, yes. At the last minute, we said we agreed we need to replace Harry.
Okay.
Who agreed?
It was at the last management meeting.
But not necessarily with the same hours. It was going to be looked at.
We were going to analyse what we needed and what was required.
That's the whole thing, isn't it? It's like analyse.
We agreed that there was a need for further resource given.
I think we need to go back to the beginning here and look at what people are doing, and then say, are we going to continue to do that? You know, again, we picked up Victory Hall as an additional cost, and we've had to manage that very well. But that's time that Mark's spending, that's time that Tony's spending. So that hopefully will go away. We've also got other costs that we're looking at in terms of workloads. What are the workloads, and how do we know? You know, and that's what some of the HR stuff that we should be doing now. You know, looking at job descriptions and saying, are these job descriptions reasonable? Are the work we're asking people to do reasonable? And we need to make up our mind as councillors the priorities that we as a council want to adopt. You know, I mean, the bus is taking up huge amounts of time, I would suggest, one way or the other. So, you know,
we need to prioritise.
We need to prioritise. We need to understand what our
of staffing.
So that's what, you know, the management committee need to decide what they want to do, and then we could work out the sort of financial implications. So
I was just going to ask, so you just understand. So this is just a summary of what Barry's asked you to put together.
It's a summary of some of the
budget.
more significant things that are over and above the normal things that repeat every single year. So these are some things that are
incremental costs,
or for some reason need some sort of an explanation or decision, and that was Barry asked me to put in a sum for both of those particular roles.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but we need the evidence to support if we are going to take it forward, because that's about my project list. You know, what is our total cost envelope?
And what I was going to add further again from the management meeting was, again, whether it's required or not, that's another story. But do we not need to be allowing for salary reviews for existing staff?
Yep.
Which
Yep.
I don't think is in the budget at the moment.
Well, we need to allow it.
Yeah,
We also need to
We've
make
got to go
sure.
through a review post.
Yeah,
process.
we need to make sure that those are justified. Again, one of the things that was coming out of HR was this job evaluation and benchmarking.
That's why we've asked the HR company to come on so you can get all this started, because it's not fair.
Yeah, we need to discuss that with the HR company as to how we're going to do that, or we need to decide how we do that. But so I think there's no reason why we can't put in costs,
Yeah.
which are budgetary estimates, because that's prudent, right? And then we work out what our total exposure is. So that can go in if we know what have we allocated for that. Is that?
Obviously, there are approximations. Clearly,
Yeah, no, they have to
But
be.
at this
They have to be.
stage, I think it was right for Sam, approximately 20k.
From what's he got now?
I think it's about 14,
Right. Okay.
and a new Sam was that's for 2 additional members of staff. Right, sorry. And then,
28.
An additional apprentice would be approximately again about 14.
Yeah.
And replacement admin assistant again 20, but
Right.
it's
So-
depending
so
on
34.
Yeah,
part-time
nothing
or
defined, yeah.
nothing to work.
34. Well, that's fine. I think we know what the envelope is. Well, we'll have a look at that in a minute. So 34k is a sort of an envelope we're talking about additional cost.
It's 55 according to the.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. We're going to go down that in a minute. Thank you, member of the public.
Our member of the public.
I didn't mean it like that, you know that. I was reading it off script, sorry Selina.
Oh yeah, hang on. IT. So let's go through IT. There's an allowance of 5k. Right. So in terms of IT, would you describe the website as IT or?
Well, that's the budget line it fits under.
Oh, okay.
And that was
Okay.
obviously a decision at the last management meeting.
Yeah.
They wanted a new website.
Yes, definitely.
Where's the 5k come from?
Well, that was what was
Was that-
suggested. Is the cost roughly
I'd say it's higher than that.
I don't know. Well, it could be low, it could be higher, couldn't it? I suppose.
Depends on the
Depends who we go with, what we do.
yeah.
I think that's what Councillor Sammy said would
Yeah.
roughly be the new cost for the website.
So okay, it's 5k is fine. I mean, if it's 5 or it's an order of magnitude.
Yeah.
Only one computer, or do we need more?
If someone else is employed for the front office of the
Plus,
it's suggested that computer in that office
right.
is in need of replacement.
Right.
It's too old.
Yeah. Okay, so there's potential there for additional
How much
on costs. So, do we need to think about replacing any other computers?
No, not at this stage. No, there is. There will be a relatively small cost for upgrade from Windows 7 to Windows 10.
Oh, blimey, yeah, we need to.
Estimate
We need to do that.
Yeah.
But mind you, there might be other software that might not be supported.
Well, that's something obviously we will
Yeah.
some advice about.
I think I'd rather have a little bit more in the budget rather than a bit less, so that we're not stretching it, but we can sort of firm up on that later on. So HR, legal and professional. We've included HR under legal and professional, so that would work out at £1,600 a year. Okay. Just thinking if there's anything else additional to that. So rates and utilities, cemetery. This now includes a provision of 32 in the clay.
That spoil removal obviously is an ongoing issue for us.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
not convinced that's the most efficient way to do it.
Well,
Sorry.
We have, I'm open to any
No,
ideas. Clearly, it's something that needs to be considered. We have to remove it. We can't just allow it to pile up as has happened in the past. So it has to be removed. And at the moment,
Scott was saying that he was going to do it, there's a place behind that he could.
it still needs, but storage is one issue, but it still needs to be removed. So
Yeah,
we've got removal
it's fair
costs,
enough.
which is
So,
Yeah.
right, so, I know, I found Appendix 3. That was reporting MR Services are removing the spoil, yeah?
yeah.
So, we're down to the 18th of September, 3 loads.
How frequently do we need to?
Right, that was the... yeah.
Well, it all depends on how many funerals you've got, to a certain extent. And
So, do we know roughly how many graves it takes to build? How you
it's
measure
a rough
it?
estimate. I mean, we're obviously, once we've got the site cleared, we'll then be working on one, unless you're having a more efficient or a cheaper way of getting rid of it, one tipper truck load at a time. So you're not going to need that many, about 3 or 4 a year, I hope.
Shouldn't we be getting a skip?
Well, in terms of the skip and how much it contains compared to a tipper truck, the skip hardly holds anything.
Yes, skip.
Well,
They're
getting
so
a bit-
expensive as well, aren't
And
they?
they're quite.
Well,
they're quite
I'm just
expensive.
thinking that, you know, we're getting a tipper truck to come
That's
along.
about 10 tons goes in the tipper truck, and the skip you won't get anywhere near
Wow.
that much.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
We have, that is the big bugbear, how you get.
Yeah, but if
rid
you're
of
doing it
stuff.
regularly,
expensive.
it's not 10 tonne, is it?
We're always looking for clean soil. That's what I
Well,
don't.
it's not soil, it's clay.
Clay.
It's clay,
It's not
remember,
topsoil.
around here.
It's clay.
You still use that for.
Not a lot.
Absolutely, anyone with some bright ideas.
Start
Yeah,
putting-
well, I don't know where
Yeah.
it is.
Because it's all clay.
Chairman,
Yeah, go on.
if I may, I think
Of course you
there's a bit of perspective needs to be put on this spoil removal situation. The spoil that is accumulated there has been accumulating for the last, I'd say, 5 years.
Mm.
Prior to that, when we engaged the services of the former gravedigger, Les,
Yeah.
the parish council was being charged £500 each time to remove spoil from one grave.
Wow.
And that situation existed for the better part of a decade.
Oh. Wow.
I
there
think
we
you're
go.
right.
The only reason why I'm aware of that
Tick off.
because the former RFO cemetery registrar, some of you may know her, Maria, complained about it almost every single day.
And,
Why
and
would we
nothing,
do that?
and nothing was done.
And nothing was done. And that was the situation for the better part of 1 decade.
I'll do that for 500.
Yeah, I know. We'll split it.
I know that.
So in comparison to that,
I'm-
the
my gob is
situation now
smacked.
is an absolute
Yeah,
bargain.
yeah, my gob is
Wow.
smacked.
But that doesn't
How-
say it's kind of right.
No, how that was left to do that, you know, I mean, you know, I'm not going to make comments about the previous management, but I mean, that was the Environment Committee, wasn't it? That was, but obviously it wasn't reported.
Well, eventually they did manage to go down the road of bringing it all in-house, and obviously that was one of the consequences.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. I mean, that was outrageous to pay that sort of money.
I think on the subject of the spoil removal, what might be worth doing on the other hand in terms of the income is it's well overdue a review of the fees that are being charged because they haven't changed
Yeah.
for a number of years.
Yeah.
Not saying they would necessarily increase, but I think they need to be reviewed.
They definitely need to be reviewed. Where would that be done? Management Committee?
Yeah, I think we did talk about putting it on the. We had, or was it on an agenda?
It was mentioned, I think, probably at the last or maybe the second to last meeting of the Environment
Sounds
Committee.
like one of your
was
ones.
it not?
But
that-
because,
Sure, is it?
and I think it was put on the agenda for the first Management Committee meeting that I remember was an absolutely massive agenda because it was
Oh, yes, it's
incorporating
huge.
all the outstanding decisions from all those other committees.
But were we not going? Oh, Mark, were you not going to get some comparable prices, or was someone?
Well, it was never actually agreed, you see, because a lot of these projects, if you like, for want of a better word, or ideas, fell beside the wayside because all these committees were amalgamated.
Added onto the
yeah.
agenda.
I know.
Things like the newsletter, the
Yeah.
website, all these decisions were going in a particular direction. But when the management committee became enforced, they were all put by the wayside.
Yeah, I think
I think it's important because that's income for us.
it is very important, and I think it's quite onerous to put everything in one committee. I mean, I can understand why it was suggested we did that,
Yeah.
but it does put an awful lot. It puts an
Pressure.
awful lot on one committee, which means you haven't really got the time to properly discuss individual items, and I think that's happens, but things fall through the cracks because you're trying to do too much in one. So whether we split the management committee into 2 sessions, I don't know. We'll have to get the chairman to think about it, because it was his idea to bring it all together.
No,
I don't know what you feel about it.
No, I think it's good because we make sure we've got a committee because the problem was obviously we had too many committees. But whether there is an idea of splitting the management meeting into 2, I don't know. It's when we fit it in, I suppose, when we fit the meetings in.
Starts going back to the too many committees again.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, we had the environment, we had the HR, we had the what's it called, the communications, I mean, and then finance. So it's there's going to be a balance.
It's okay. It's just we're just covering a lot of stuff, I think.
And again, it goes back to what should we be doing? What our
priorities.
priorities? Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Should we be doing all these things? Okay, so let's move through this because I know it's taken a bit of time, but I think it's worthwhile because we're getting clarity. At least this week. So in terms of the ongoing cost of that, we need to put a contract out for that, do we?
Sorry, street lighting.
No. The spoil. I'm back to the spoil.
It will be the same company at the moment we're using because that's the cheapest.
Right. So
unless we can come up with a different way of doing things.
So could we say, well, we have an annual contract with them, will it be cheaper? To say as and when, we'll call you as and when, but we'll have an annual.
It won't make any difference. Yeah, they can. It's quite.
They just charge a load.
It's just
okay.
a fixed
So it doesn't give us
so
any.
you could call them out twice or.
Doesn't give us any discount if we place.
It's a set figure per load. Makes no difference.
So if we've got an annual contract that they can forecast their resource, okay. So we'll leave it for the time being, and on an ad hoc basis. But what we need to look at is a trend, don't we? Is there an average number of graves that
I
we
think
do?
after the next year we'll have a much better idea because we'll clearly be able to gauge
Yeah.
how much score comes out per grave and how many loads. So,
Okay. Street lighting now.
Please, can we get the lights?
This is only talking about money. I'm not worried about the decision. The decision is obviously a decision
we're getting there.
for the management committee to do. But I keep kicking it in forest.
But we are finance and.
We are. So, as I understand it, right, we have got a 4-year contract that they're looking at. Is what they told us. There will be accounts. So we will have proper regular accounts. It's a question of whether they pay us first for total precept and then we pay them back, or whether they deduct it at source and pay us the residual. And that's still.
I think that particular area has been resolved because I wasn't happy about us having money taken before the precepts arrived. That's not accounting for it correctly.
Yeah.
So I've suggested we should have the full precept. They invoice us like anyone else.
Well, they would do.
We would pay them from our precept. And as I understand, they're quite happy with that. That's not an issue.
Okay. It was finance that were suggesting it quicker. The other thing is, I don't know, because we've got to pay this year for the residual of whenever we get it from December if we go from December to May.
We must go from December, please. People will explode.
It's ridiculous. Any update quickly? I know.
No, I copied you into the most recent email. Now, we are counting our chickens a bit here. They have said regarding because the original contract that was considered by the committee suggested that they would take the money straight from our precept. Okay, it was agreed that we were unhappy with that. And I proposed a different arrangement where they would send an invoice, as everyone else does, and we pay on a quarterly basis. He seemed to suggest that could probably work.
Yeah. This was James, was it?
Yes. The other aspect of it, we had requested a cap.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
No.
And in response to that, what he suggested was some sort of break clause.
That's what they're saying.
Okay. Now he said, I'm putting that to county, and we're now awaiting a response. And
Well,
that's roughly where we are.
Yeah, well, that's what county has said to me, that they would not accept a limit because they don't know what their increases are going to be. It would obviously be cost of living and whatever the charges are. But the only thing they could do is a break clause that says if at the end of a year we find the costs have gone up too much, we can stop it. Well, I can't see we can stop it.
It just covers us that in case it went up.
In case these guys want to go on a holiday and use our money for it,
Just to conclude, Chip, he's been quite quick in his response.
Yeah, I keep kicking.
It's got 2 weeks.
So he is aware of that. He is aware of that, and I've already put it on the agenda for the next council meeting.
Can we wait that long?
Well, I was going to say, can you?
Can't we just?
I don't think we can wait that long.
The next council meeting is next week.
Yeah.
I know, but are you able to chase them up?
See, what I suggested to Jamie was that if we get a meeting with them, right?
Yeah. Well,
as quickly as possible, rather than send emails backwards and forwards and try and get it
Let's just
resolved.
get it done so we can.
What I'm hoping.
Like idiots if we don't do it. For a year we've been going on about this.
Yes, I think.
What I'm hoping is that my next email will have an attachment with a revised contract before this Friday. So it could possibly go on the council agenda. If not, then it would go on the management committee agenda for the 20.
Or you call
Too
it?
late.
We call it
Too late then.
meeting.
Well, I'm as I said, I'm very much dependent on the emails
Will you
from
call
James.
James tomorrow? Just pick up the phone.
I called him yesterday and left a message.
Call him every day.
Okay, all right.
Could we get a special group of people together?
We have the Chigwell Residents Association meeting this week on Thursday, and it is on the agenda for discussion.
Right.
And we need to have an answer before.
Even if we're saying, we're agreed contracts coming out as such or something.
We need to have that resolved this week.
Yes.
We cannot wait any longer, and we can't rely on emails, and we can't rely on it going to full council. We've got to have at least, in essence, we've got to have something resolved.
We know we're agreed, and it's just got to be ratified.
There's lots
because we put it in the public domain in January.
Yeah.
The previous chairman actually wrote out and put it in the newspaper that we're going to be the first to switch the lights on.
It's not easy with the county. It takes years.
No. We have an insider at the county.
But if we're doing quite quick since we've been
He's done it. He's made it happen.
I was on the highway panel. We were amending the.
Don't worry about it, people. Yeah.
Giving it to them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the final.
Yeah. Don't worry. It's been dealt with.
But every time we looked at it, it's still wrong.
Yeah, well, this is not wrong. I think it's back with us because we've actually asked for different things now. So we want to. It should have been stated it will be an invoice, and that all they would do is try to save time in taking the money in precept, but it's irrelevant.
That they've agreed to it.
And they've agreed to it, so we just need to get on with it.
Kind of.
I think that's a more appropriate.
CCTV.
Yeah.
Well,
kind of.
Residents are not going to be
the thing is
satisfied.
they have said the 1st of December. There's a possibility, so we're just going to make that happen.
We're just going to make it happen.
But not at this late stage now. Yeah. Because once it's agreed, it's got to go back to county. County have got to implement the scheme to do it. So we should have done this months ago.
Yeah, well, we know that, but it hasn't. But so, who suggested the 1st of December?
I did. Between.
But that was a month, 2 months ago, before we had all this email interchange. We're now halfway through November, and we still haven't confirmed we're accepting
it's not really looking viable for the 1st of December.
We can't wait till April 2020.
Of course we can't.
Honestly.
No, we can't, Tony.
So no, I said honestly.
I said you're joking.
No, it wasn't like.
No, we can't. It's like.
I'd also add that the parish council had been asking for this whole scheme of switching on the street lights. I think for about 5 years.
Yes.
Because I do remember when I first started here writing letters. To Kevin Bentley and the rest of it, and getting rejection.
Three
That's
years.
right. They did make that statement.
Yeah.
They did say they were
About 3
going to.
years ago,
The first.
I took a group with the petition to Eleanor Lane at Thatcher
Yeah.
House.
No, the county made it very clear they would not deal with the parish council.
Yeah.
However, Councillor Mahindra has intervened, right, and has convinced Councillor Bentley that this is something.
But the officers want to move.
It's
That's
been
the problem.
done, Kewell.
Wow.
It's been
I
done.
have no confidence.
Well, I'm telling.
I've been amending.
Yeah, I know you have.
Giving it to them, that's the final bit. Can we finalize it and print it in this fashion and bring it to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Still wrong. They can't read what you're giving to them.
Yeah, well, they obviously have their own legal. Anyway, it's not county.
Yeah,
So
I
you
think
think
in this case that we've moved forward a little
We
bit.
have moved
Do
forward.
you think we
about-
will get the lights on in December?
I've no idea.
I
I
have
will
no
go back and ask
I have
them
no
tomorrow.
confidence.
Well, we still haven't agreed the contract.
No, whatever. Yeah.
Have we?
Even if you give it to them,
That's a different issue.
We still no on CCTV.
No,
We're still on street lights.
So,
Go
right.
back out
So,
again.
all I wanted to say, and we can cut the conversation now. The budget needs to say for the next 4 years that we
Yeah.
have 17,000 plus a cost of living increase that we can estimate
Yeah.
2% or, I mean,
Well, I was going to say, do we estimate an increase?
I'd say estimate 2%. I mean, if anybody's got a better idea, I don't know what the financial markets are going to do, but it's not going to be far. About 60, what are we talking about? A few £100 on 16k, 17k. It's not going to be a big issue, right? So that's one. That's
So I
done.
can take it out of the bus project.
Yes. CCTV. Right now,
Sorry.
we've got here CCTV 3.5k for Chigwell Row, but we've got in here in the agenda CCTV for Grange Hill, Chigwell Row. So
That was that. We did have this at the management meeting. The problem we've got though at the moment is I don't know if anything's changed from Chigwell Row. At the moment, it's in someone's garage or something.
it is.
It is, yeah.
It is an old system.
It needs to be disconnected.
It's the same thing that happened in Brook Parade. That was in one of the shops
yes.
originally before it was upgraded. Grange Hill, it was in the fish and chip shop, I think. And they were saying, can we get paid with the electricity? And I think the Grange Hill one was switched off because I know the guy that actually provided it and how it was done. So we do need to look, and from a financial point of view, is that 3.5k just for Chigwell Row?
Yes, at the moment.
Okay, so we do need to put an estimate to get. So I'm not quite sure if this is a commentary on 1 and 2 or if this is a commentary on the budget preparation. But anyway, we do need to think about Grange Hill because there were 2 break-ins at Grange Hill.
Yeah.
And there's a continuing problem with parking.
But that came
It's
to the
actually
management
more than
meeting.
that now.
What's that? More?
So behind the chip shop there, the Chinese, they've had a couple of break-ins around there as well, and the estate agent. So there's been quite a few now.
So
And the cars. And
yeah,
the
cars.
broken
Yeah,
into,
cars we can't deal with. But I'm
Right.
just thinking then, does that mean to say, because I was envisaging CCTV at the front, but do we need to look at it in the
Maybe
alleyways
on,
as
on
well?
the side, yeah, of looking up into one of the, from Kimono. So you're going down that road, and then you can
Right,
see the
right.
alleyway
Yeah.
to the right hand side behind the shops.
Yeah.
Going
Yeah.
down to the tennis club.
That's it.
Okay.
So there.
So what was the estimate of the 3.5k for
Well, in a
Chigwell
sense,
Road?
because Chigwell Road is a little bit easier
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah.
That is going to require a completely new system because what's there at the moment is so old
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
gonna
be
so
thrown away.
that's putting in new boxes. That's just an indication as to what
Yeah.
it's going to look at. Obviously, the committee
Right.
will have to get the details of the various quotes and what's going to happen.
Will it
in due
be
course.
seen controlled here as well?
Well, no, that's one of the main issues that it's got there is there's no connection from there to here that easily. So there'll be different options in terms of whether it's just a simple plug, you plug it in if you've got some footage you want to go and look at the scene, or whether you want a more high-tech version of a mobile phone system type where it's beamed over to here via
it can be dealt with through.
So there's different options depending on what is felt is required.
It can be dealt with through Telecom Red as a network. They provide that sort of, what do they call it? BT security. Sorry?
Who provides our ones in Brook Parade?
We've done that ourselves with a supplier.
But maybe we have to do that.
Well, again, it depends on how we do it, because it can be done through broadband. You have a broadband connection, and then you have a static IP address that would let you do it. But that's technical.
When are we thinking of doing it?
When?
Well, we have to think about.
Well, that's down to the management committee.
Yeah. Well, it's part of it's been sent up to the full council now, hasn't it? Or from the last meeting. Or it was on the last.
As I remember it, the Chigwell Row situation was still awaiting a report from providers looking at exactly what's going to be required to get that running.
Meeting was that it needed to be, because it was not compliant, had to make sure it wasn't working.
Yeah, disconnected, but
it's not.
And then I think you were going to do some.
Then we're looking to get some reports in
to understand what costs.
Yeah. We need that. We need budget costs. Okay, so we're looking at cost estimates. We've estimated 3.5k. That's fine. We need to think about what we do for Grange Hill, and I would say at this time put in another 3.5k for that.
I think it depends. I think Grange Hill is probably a lot
more expensive. I'm sure it will.
Because you've got a much bigger area to cover and have a lot more cameras. Particularly talking about round the back as well. So you're talking possibly
probably
the same
five
sort of
or
systems
six,
over the road,
which
so
is
about 5 to 6.
5 or 6k. Okay. You know, I think we just need to do that. Elections 12k. Grants.
What, the elections?
Well, that's what we have to pay
it is.
for for the
admin,
tellers and the admin and the polling stations, and I think we pay about 5k if it's a by-election, 6k if it's a by-election. So it's quite expensive. Is that right, Tony?
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, grants, additional provision. 5k for grants. Okay, so we say, is that enough for Victory Hall?
Well, again, this is a discussion I had with the chairman in terms of his view was that if the Victory Hall won its now into independent again, I think it's fairly obvious from the accounts and looking at what we've got, it's not going to be able to maintain itself on purely the income it receives from hires.
No, it never. Yeah.
To the necessary standard, let alone give it the campaign and all the rest of it it's needed. So therefore, I think his view was that we would probably be looking to make a grant of some sort, call it whatever you wish, and he suggested to me 5,000. And if you feel differently, then clearly we can amend that.
Okay. Now, I didn't see this, but if you draw a line under grants, there's a chairman's statement there, which I didn't appreciate until he told me. I'll read it out. The chairman has indicated he doesn't want to increase the precept over last year, because on the budget we've actually said it's going to be a 1.9% increase. So obviously we need to prioritise what our expenditure is going to be, or we take something more out of reserves. This being the case, on the current expenditure there will be a requirement to transfer 14,392 from reserves. Okay.
So that's now going to obviously be bigger with the 5 to 6k from CCTV. So
I mean, if we're saying, you know, if we're talking about these earmarked reserves with the 164,000 Chigwell Amenities Fund, which we haven't spent, you know, I don't think 20k or 14k is going to be a big deal, and if it's a priority, we need to do that. So I think that's fine. No provision is made for the bus service. Okay. So, on the basis that should the 106 money not be forthcoming, council will no longer be running the service. The money is received in the bus. Yes. So that's what it said in terms of prudence. Now there was an email that I heard was being reported that we got from the council, or saying that
S106.
saying it hadn't been negotiated.
We read it out at the last one.
No, it
You
hasn't.
sent it out on that
Hasn't not
day.
been negotiated, it just hasn't been confirmed yet, 'cause it's not been reported to committee yet.
No, that's not the one which I had. It's just that they haven't
that was
got.
the email.
No, as far as I'm aware, there is no 106 because it would be a new 106.
It said that it hadn't even got planning, so there's no discussions on the S106s yet.
No, he's not confirmed it with the planning officer yet. They've had discussions.
So
it's not been finalised.
right? I think
So there's been a heads of terms
yes.
sent through, which includes the bus in
No, it doesn't.
No.
That was what the planner had said, but that's not what the head of planning is saying.
the.
Nigel Richardson and Alison Blom Cooper
I
are
haven't
not
got
saying
anything
that.
that's that. That's
No, but the
just that.
developer. Has
Right now, if the developer wants to agree something with us,
The developer and the planning officer have prepared a heads of terms.
yes, but I think that is no longer viable. So because I don't think the developer knows what the commitment he's going to have to make in terms of affordable housing.
That's viability. That's down to viability.
Yeah, it is, and that's what I'm saying. If there's an additional commitment that they're telling us that they're going to give us over and above the 106 for affordable housing. Now I know that what the council said is that viability is assessed on the original cost of the land, not.
Yeah, you can't include like the 18 whatever.
So it's going to be on 180,000,
Yeah.
right? And there's a 40% affordable housing commitment.
Yeah.
So
But that's the same as previously, isn't it? That's
no,
what was
it
assessed.
wasn't. No, it was negotiated down. It was like half. I
But
mean,
yeah, but it's still
the estimate
viability.
the estimate would be around about 23 houses, which I reckon is about £8 million. And if they're going to fund that elsewhere in the district, they've got to add that to the cost of anything that they're going to give us. So the question would be, are they prepared to give us a commitment, nothing to do with the 106, that they will pay an additional cost to us to run the bus over and above the 106? That's where we are, and if we don't get that commitment, so that we go, okay, that's fine. So I think we do need to be a bit prudent here, and there is no justification that there will be a 106 at this time, whatever was agreed previously. And I know you're saying that it's being talked about, we haven't got the money, and there's nothing written down.
So
about
you're
it.
saying that since that date, 31st of October, then that's been done?
They're in continuous little D and Ansel.
Because that one on there, hi Anthony, we're awaiting feedback from the planning officer regarding the planning application. We've not yet discussed the details of the 106 agreement with him. The development has not yet started. It will not start until planning permission has been granted and any relevant conditions have been discharged.
Yeah, but as a process, they've submitted heads of terms of the 106.
But that's irrelevant.
No, yeah. What I'm saying, the
Since-
question was, what have they've submitted?
We have got no commitment for any money.
No, there's not signed agreement.
We haven't got there's no commitment, not even signed. We've got no commitment for any money, and that was the whole point of saying, where the council at this meeting said, we have a commitment, we're going to get the money, it's coming. It's not coming, and I think that's why the chairman has made that statement. We can't make any judgments about having money that is not there and not allocated, and it's not happening.
Well, we've got an agreed way forward at the moment,
No, we
Which is
haven't.
what?
which is, well, in terms of what was voted on the last full council,
Which is,
until we carry on until April or whenever it was.
it's still unauthorised spend. We need that. We need to review that business case.
But that's what was voted on at full council. Whether that
Fine,
agree or that,
but that was why I
but-
resigned previously.
No,
So,
no,
and I
but-
want to make sure that we reviewed that business case. I don't mind where it's done. We reviewed the business case. We look at the risk analysis, and we take a prudent approach.
Well, if we had a risk analysis to begin with, that would have covered that.
Well, we did.
Okay.
It said that there were 4 S106 agreements, and what was actually been paid out was a fraction of what was agreed. And we said that we would stop it if we didn't get the third
so I
one.
don't understand why Barry then overturned that.
In what way?
Because he turned around and said that he would not actually approve any more money past October, and that we'd actually turn the buses over. So we weren't going to actually.
We weren't going to
Okay,
continue, but then there was pressure to take it till April. Well, I still think we need to review that case.
Yeah, I do as well.
in detail and decide what the viability is, because that bus drives around Chigwell empty.
Oh, I've got to say something. Can somebody tell me? So I'm in Waltham Cross at the weekend, and there's our bus. Our bus was in Waltham Cross. I went to get out my car to go and speak to him. Saturday. Our Chigwell bus. It was in Waltham Cross.
Is that when the temple use it?
Was it Saturday or Sunday?
They use it Sunday.
What day did I say to you? Oh, it's there. Is it Saturday or Sunday?
There would be another.
It was the
I checked
it
him
was
to say,
it was the wreath ceremony on Sunday, so it must have been Saturday.
Must have been Saturday. It was there in Waltham Cross. Clear as daylight. I actually stopped the car and said, "Oh, I'm getting out. There's our bus."
All right.
So it's, he drove off.
We can't continue to talk about it because we haven't got any
No,
money.
we need
We
to
haven't got any
talk
money
about
for it.
that, though.
We haven't got any money for it. We're spending our money. We need, and that I'm sure residents will be very interested that here we are giving away £6,000 a month and arguing over 17,000 for a year nearly. So, you know, I don't get it. So,
and also it looks like we're paying for them to actually take the bus wherever they want to take it.
No, well, we've requested for them to, well, the temple guys, we've requested them to contribute now, haven't we, Anthony?
Yes, I haven't sent the letter from them because I'm awaiting a response from the manager of the Forest Community Transport as to what exactly we should require from them for that service.
okay. So, you know, we do need to do
I thought it was
something.
interesting to see that it was there.
Sorry?
I said I thought it was just interesting to, you know, that it was there in Waltham Cross at a weekend.
Oh, well,
And we
I
you know.
can't comment on that.
So,
Well, I can.
in
We're
terms,
paying for it.
okay, in terms
I can
of
comment.
turning over the page of that report, let's, we've got current project updates. So we've got the cemetery redevelopment.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not the total cost. This is just for the main toilet block.
That's the initial costs of the services of the architect to prepare all the plans.
Oh, that's
Manage
the
all
5750 is the architect.
Yes, that's all his costs for the services to provide designs, tenders, manage the whole process through to completion.
So
It does not include the actual cost.
Just for
of
a
the
toilet?
building.
no, it's not for building costs. No, this is the design.
Yes.
Design project
Co-
management.
Right.
Well,
so
just for the toilet.
Toilet, renovation of the existing toilets and the provision of a 24-hour toilet. which was
right,
new.
and also the new chapel.
No, that was not approved.
So we've got nothing in the budget for a chapel, right? Okay.
No.
Fine. The other question I had about that was that we turned over the waiting room to the bus drivers. Is that still the case?
They just use it occasionally when they finish their rounds. I think it's got tea.
So if there's a funeral going on, they can't use it, or
Well, we've never ever been asked for space.
well, they've never used it.
No, we've never been asked for a space for any funeral.
Oh, I see. Oh, they've not asked for that.
Not for that particular area. No, all
Okay.
we ever have been asked for is if we have a chapel area. That's the only interest we've ever had.
Okay.
Can we, just out of interest, can we do a bit of a tally now, so we know how many people are asking for this chapel? So at the moment, that was one of the queries we had at the management committee, whether there was actually a need for this chapel. I know we said we get asked it,
Well,
but
I would suggest it's not really going to be that straightforward because most of the people that would ask us are the local undertakers and they know that we haven't got one. So they wouldn't now ask because they know we haven't got one.
So we need to ask them whether they want one.
exactly.
We need a consultation somewhere.
How do we
Yes,
know if
exactly.
it's actually required?
Yeah.
And obviously, that was the problem.
Because
Well,
it was
we
a lot of
approved it at the
money.
management meeting was like however much it was. We were like, well,
150 to
Do we need it?
200,000.
So we need to do a bit of a consultation to get some feedback from
We need it
residents.
somewhere.
Well, I mean, there's two things here in terms of consultation. One of them is the undertakers, and two is the people that have reserved plots.
yeah.
they're the people we would know, because we're not going to know the people that haven't died yet. So
I suppose it's a bit of a. Well, if you ask someone, it's a bit of a leading question, isn't it? Would you want a chapel? Everyone's probably going to just say yes.
All these years before, it was never asked.
No, I know the history, but
Yeah.
Barry wanted to raise it, and I think it's a good idea. It's just that's something we need to think about in terms of, do we need it, what the consultation is to do that. Can I have your agreement that we allow our member of the public to raise a question?
Yes.
Can I just ask how many funerals there are per year at the moment, and how many more you would maybe anticipate by getting a chapel, and how much revenue is going to be? It's a business plan again, is what we're talking about. But if it's, and what's the capacity as well? You know, what's the maximum number of funerals? Because it's a lot of money, 150 to 200 grand.
In that 2016 report, did it not say that there was enough room for, what is it, 50? Or 30, is it 30
I
or
think it's
more?
about 30, the next 30 to 50 or something like that.
That's a
But
question.
It's more how many you actually do at the moment. How many burials are there a year at the moment?
Do we know?
Approximately.
Varies, but roughly between,
How many a week?
well, I would say it's probably about 50 or 60 a year. Roughly, I think, off the top of my head. Varies.
It's not going to justify spending 200,000. So yeah.
I'd just like to advise members, the more senior members of the council are probably aware of this, that the original redevelopment of that block, or extension, renovation of that block, did include the construction of a chapel at that time, with a clock and an appropriate design.
The clock.
However, that project, to my knowledge, went over budget, and it was decided not to complete that, and accordingly we have the existing design that's there. I think probably Councillor Chana would probably be more informed of the details, because at that time I was merely the photocopier.
Yeah, what happened?
No,
Yeah.
Chairman, there was no chapel allowed before. It was just a waiting room, open waiting room, a shelter, so that if it's rain and people can, sort of take shelter while waiting. And so in other words, there were two waiting rooms, one covered and the other one
open.
Yeah,
And that was the design.
Okay.
that is how it was designed.
So
But what's
Wasn't
the
there
capacity?
the inclusion of a clock on the...
No, not a clock. That was a feature.
feature on a tower.
A feature on the tower looking like a clock, but it was somehow, I was overruled, and although we had the planning permission, building regulation, went to tender even, cost was allowed for, and somebody made a decision not to do it.
What's our capacity there? How much more room have we got?
Between 25 and 50 odd years, I think. Who commissioned that report? Do we know? Was it ours?
Which report, sorry?
The
Was it not-
2016.
There was a
Part of the
2016.
development.
Have you got it there?
In 2016, there was a report commissioned by a cemetery expert
Yeah, there
that I
was.
thought looked like it had been commissioned by the parish.
Well, it had been
Regarding what?
been
What was the
for the
title?
cemetery.
Well, it
was
was-
actually. I mentioned it beforehand. I brought it along, didn't I?
It came up.
Yeah, I
you sent
mentioned
around
it.
recently.
Yeah.
I did read it.
Yeah.
I thought it sounded like it come from the care home developer who's given us the land.
Well, I think so.
No, it was just about develop. Yes, please.
It was done in March 2016 by Peter Mitchell
Okay.
Associates. I'll just quickly scan through it.
I got the impression it was commissioned by the parish, but
38
what I
and a
thought.
half years. I'm really
between 25 and 52 years or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
38 and a half years. it's
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't. This is what I'm saying. It doesn't look like there's enough room there. If we're taking another 50 to 60 burials a year, this doesn't look like there's enough land there for that.
But then we're not getting that additional
Well,
land.
this was the whole point why Councillor Sandler was insistent that when the care home was being built, we negotiated the extra space.
So that's what I'm thinking. That's based on that, with that extra space, not what is there. It was a need assessment that they did.
That care home's obviously.
Well, if it's 50, say it's 50 a year.
Bear in
Well,
mind,
what space
possibly
do we have?
half of those are having cremations,
Yeah.
which take up a very much smaller space. than
So we've got-
before.
So we've got 30 odd years worth.
Well, that's if they're cremations, not if it.
No, that's
Well,
about
if we're going to
mixture.
have, if we're going to have like 50 to 60, like say for example burials, or what percentage of those would be burials? The land doesn't look. Where's that land?
So that's, talking
Because
about.
it's quite busy there as it is.
Anyway, a management committee issue.
Yeah, definitely. Because Scott was saying
So-
to me, there's not enough room.
Right. So from a finance point of view,
Yeah.
what do we
Yeah.
need to put in the budget? Right, now what we've done is we've got some designs that have come out. We are going ahead with the lane repairs. Yeah. And we've got the spoil. So there was something a bit odd there. So the cost so far of removing the spoil was 3640, but we've got 4368, and then total cost is 4480. I don't. On the report, it's got.
The two should add up. The 3 extra loads at 280 added to the 3640 should be.
4480.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, okay. So what's 4368 then?
That's
3640. Sorry.
No, on the appendix 3, we've got 4368. And we've said 1680, 672, 1008, 1008 comes to 4368.
I'm not sure which bit you're looking at.
Yeah.
Appendix 3,
Yeah.
right. Project spore removal, cemetery spore removal.
Where's that?
On the very last page. On the very, very last page. Appendix
Oh.
continued.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just, hang on, I might have noticed it.
So,
Looks like there's somewhere on the line there's just an adding up mistake because it's
yeah.
Yeah, it's probably my fault, Chairman.
So we've got.
Hang on, 7, 6.
So that if you add up those 4 items, that comes to 4368. And,
No, it's right, it is right.
and if we're talking about 3 loads at 280, which is 840, that comes to 5208. And yet we've got 4480. So I don't know. So if we add up that appendix 3 with the 3 loads at 280 comes to 840 plus the 4368 comes to 5208. So I don't know which one's right now.
And I think the appendix 3 on the back, those figures look more recognisable. So I think that's what you're looking at.
Right. So it's 4368 plus 840,
Yeah,
which is 5208.
yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
No, it was. Yeah, I was just trying to work it out. Fine. Going back to that one. So what we did there, I think, was this is quotes for the work. So we've had on the top of that appendix, Frogall Lane Repair Cemetery. So that was one contractor that was quoting. Yeah. Then there's another one that was quoting, and then there's a third one that's quoting. And we've accepted the middle one, which was 93.
Yes.
93.
Accepted, i.e. it will be on the agenda for the...
Okay, but proposed.
The rationale behind that was because it came with a 10-year warranty, And the other one came.
I'm just
But
trying to
yeah, just give me a
understand.
background.
I'm just trying to understand. We've got
expensive.
we've got a appendix which says project forecast, but it's project forecast for the cemetery, and that's the quote for the work. So that top one was the lane and the car park. So we've accepted the lane, or it will be recommended for acceptance,
Yeah.
but we haven't accepted the car park repairs.
No, just a lane we're looking at the moment.
Right. So there's still another 3,500 or whatever.
That wasn't put to us.
No, it wasn't. I think it was put. We were really initially. I was only asked for the car park. For the lane repairs. They provided us with some other figures by way of some extra touting for businesses.
Oh, okay. So that is
lane
not.
repairs.
Yeah.
So that is
So
not.
completely disregarded. That's not an issue.
It's not one we're
No.
accepting.
No.
Oh, okay. Because I couldn't quite understand why it was in that table. Yeah.
Remind me, so why have we got two?
Right. Well, there's three quotes.
It's just
Oh, that's just
Right.
the
So
quotes.
you've got a
Okay.
quote there, a
Beg
quote
your
there, a
pardon.
quote there.
Yeah.
So
Right.
one was absolutely ridiculous.
One was 44,000. I don't know what he was doing, gold plating it or something. Was it the
Wow.
whole lane? One was a repair of 393, and the other one was 9095.
And yeah, basically 9.3 came with a 10-year warranty. So
Yeah.
we went with that.
So that seems fine. So that I don't have any problem with that at all. It just needs a little bit more explanation saying what it means, right? The section below is the designer architect, I believe,
Yeah.
right? And that is this is for the design work. So that design work was.
So basically, we accepted the top two and didn't accept the chapel one.
But that was only for the design. So
Yeah, the design and project manager.
okay. So they haven't gone forward with the chapel conversion work,
We didn't put that forward
No.
to full council.
right? So, but the work hasn't been done. So,
No.
okay. So where do we? So the 5750. 5750. Yeah, that matches. Right. Okay.
Pardon?
Sorry to interject the minutes for the
I'm
management.
still going through them. There's a
Okay.
couple
Nah,
of
that's it.
changes.
Right. Okay. So we understand that now. So what is in this report lines up with that report, excluding that, and the spoil is there. Right. Okay. That's fine. So understand that. Now. Going back to the agenda. Sorry, folks, it's taking so long.
There was one more in the bottom of that page still to come.
Oh, which is the hedge.
There is another bit of the
Oh, yes.
asked me to. The quotes should be with us this week, so that will come.
Did that come through management meeting?
No, they haven't had that yet.
Gone to-
It hasn't
we
been
haven't had that yet.
prepared ready yet.
So this is
So that
a
is
report back
forthcoming
saying that there's
project. It is in the offing.
okay.
at some
There's
stage.
initial issues with the hedge. Okay, good. Back to the agenda. Now, draft budget and precept. Now, I feel we haven't got everything on that list. So we've got reinstatement of the street lighting, yeah. Open garden maintenance and cemetery so there's two separate things here, isn't there? The cemetery renovation is covered.
Mhm.
What about the open garden maintenance? Is that the review of the business case? What does that mean?
No, I think that was more in line with the hedge and. I mean, I included that at the suggestion of the chairman of the council.
Yeah, but if we don't,
Yeah, I don't really get what it is.
And I think it's a carry on from the previous.
I
But does that include the
As far
hedges?
as I was aware, the only thing over and above what we do year in, year out is this additional hedge and verge work, which are
right. So I think we need to.
separately.
So just to
that
clarify,
really-
if that's the
So
hedge
we're talking about this is not open garden maintenance. This is hedge.
and verge.
Yeah.
Very, very passionate about this cemetery.
Yes.
Loves his pets.
He loves his cemetery. Maybe he wants to go there.
Yeah, getting ready.
I know John Natman's got space. Mind you,
Does he want to
where
still have that space if he doesn't live here?
he doesn't live here. Well, he can still have it. But. Right. Okay. CCTV, Grange Hill and Chigwell Row. So that's we've amended that to do that. Upgrading the council website, and we've got something in for that. Now, Victory Hall Foundation is that It's not just the hall, is it? So, is there a budget that we need to think about for that?
Well, it's 5,000 that's included as part of that,
The
as
grant.
mentioned earlier. That's
Okay.
initially what I was asked to put in for a grant.
For a grant,
whatever you wish
okay.
to call it.
So,
Yes.
but the question now is, we're coming up to November. Are we going to get it resolved by April when we have a new?
And do we not, going back to, do we not have some reserves earmarked what we haven't used as well?
Well, you've got a victory.
Got the
hall fund.
30,000.
We've got the victory all 43,000.
And the 30,000,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
haven't we? Yeah.
Not that,
so if we are going to spend any money, we need to think about how that is allocated. We don't want to put more
We
in
need to
there.
review
no,
that
that's
as
what I
well.
mean. We've got that there, why are we
We're
putting
not adding.
more
We're
in?
not putting any more into the budget.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
So I think we need to think about that. We've got HR as well that needs to be added onto that budget, that preset
Yeah.
consideration.
The only thing I'd say, we haven't, well, it depends how you want to show it, but the cemetery renovation has been approved, albeit the initial spend for this, the architect, is within the
Right.
budget, that's included, that's the figures you've already seen. The actual cost, when it comes to the builder turning up and doing the
Yeah.
work,
Is an additional.
is an additional.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, whether you wish to estimate whatever that amount might be, as part of the budget, or it's not put in the budget, and then you just have to authorise it from the reserve. I mean, if it's all as long in the sense that if we put it in the budget, it's there as a figure. Obviously, we don't know what it's going to be at the moment exactly. I can't imagine it's going to be.
I think it's part of the capital expenditure and would be the breakdown of the reserves. So we would say, as part of that Victory Hall earmark reserves,
Just as long as that's the way you're happy to do it.
I think
straight from
as long
that-
this is capital
Yes.
and that's a capital expenditure. So I think we would say that we're taking it out of the earmark reserves to do that. That's the way I would see it going. Because it's not an ongoing cost; it's a project cost. Yeah.
Fine, absolutely.
Okay. IT, website, and all that stuff. That's not in the draft preset. Would that come out
Yeah,
of the
IT,
reserves?
the web, yeah, that's 5,000 for the website, that's all included.
Right. Okay. So that's in the budget.
It's not on this.
This is not on there.
It's not on the list. On this, so that's what
I
I
think
wanted.
those were more the larger projects.
Yeah, I want to make sure we've got a complete handle on all the capital projects that we're talking about. So, is there anything else anybody's aware of that we need to?
Not at the moment.
What there was? What about the thing for the playground equipment?
Well, that's already allocated within this year's budget.
I didn't know whether that
That's
was
already in
another.
there. That's so
Are
that
we going to
still
spend it
put
this
it-
year?
well, I mean, obviously it wasn't debated at the last management meeting because it ran out of time. So I'm hoping
Okay.
it will-
So the question, any of these
Next year's
things,
budget.
because you can't really carry forward budgets. You
I
really need
mean, I
to.
would anticipate. Obviously, I don't know if there were any issues with the proposals that were put forward. Clearly, I think Councillor
Didn't-
Semi asked she wanted to
didn't she have
discuss
some more
something, but she didn't
questions?
say
Yeah.
what those questions were.
Yeah.
So all the work is there. So it's just a question of once it's approved and everyone's happy with it, it needs just to go to full council for an approval, and the order can be placed. So I would have thought it should be within this financial year. Absolutely.
Okay. So and then, what are we doing about the bus now? Because we say we're taking it out, or we're putting our own money into it.
Was not going into the new budget.
Right.
Was
There's
it?
no plans to spend any money on the budget from this year, from next year's budget on the buses.
Okay. Good. Fine. Is there anything else we need to add to that? Let's quickly go through this.
Right. Can I just ask, raise one other part of my
Yeah,
general report?
yeah,
This has come up
yeah.
very late on. You may recall, just over a year ago, £85,000 was authorised to go into a separate account, a higher interest
Yeah.
1 year
Yes,
bond.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
That's
yes.
hasn't reached maturity.
Right.
So we've got instructions of what do we want to do with it.
We don't
do
need
we
the
want
money.
to go back in to another 1 year bond? 1.7?
What sort of return we got on it?
Well, it was 1.6%, so you've got £1,360 of interest.
Do we want to put any more into it? The bond.
Well, it was limited at 85,000
Right.
for this one bond because that's the guaranteed return
Mm.
should they go
Okay.
bust.
Yeah. That's what you have to do. Is it's a protection bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we don't need the money, do we?
No.
No.
Stick it
No.
back in.
Capital put it straight back into another 1 year.
Yeah.
Is it worth questioning whether there's anything better out there? I don't know.
I did have a look. You might get marginally a little bit. Some very strange people I've never heard of.
No, okay. We don't want to risk it.
Yeah, no risk. But, you know.
And the other thing we need to think about is, can we reduce the precept?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, Barry's made a statement. We don't want to increase it, and I think we want a zero precept.
Yeah.
Because we don't need the reserve, but obviously year on year we've not spent this money for I don't know how many years, so we need to spend it on something that people want, and get good value, get best value for our residents. That's the way I would see it. Okay, so are we happy with this budget? Is there anything anybody wants to comment on?
So at the moment, the only other thing, obviously, as well, is that it doesn't include anything that I didn't know about. So if you have ideas clearly for projects, this is the time we need to get that.
Yeah.
I was one thing I was going to suggest was, and don't shut me down, the potentially looking at a neighbourhood plan again. Being where my discussion with Councillor Phillip last week and the local plan, he was, the first stage of it reviews a minimum. He was saying June next year, and that's before they've done the rest of it.
Yeah. We're still bound.
18 months.
We're still bound by it. A neighbourhood plan.
I called it a neighbourhood plan. It's more of, I would call, I would call it a design guide almost.
I think what I would be looking for is something that we can present to residents as what we as a parish council are doing for them.
And the key, because at the moment the neighbourhood plan is what I call material consideration, but that is shaky. We are at risk if developers can.
I'm very loath to invest time and effort at this stage into a neighbourhood plan, because I know it was presented at council last week. Bobbingworth and the Lavers, right, has taken another 6 years to produce the plan. From the first time it was rejected, and it's gone on another 6 years before it's been ready. And I'm not sure that the ultimate value.
I can't believe they get that many people challenging them up in where they are. It probably.
Well, it was easy for them, but they still took 6 years.
Small.
Yeah, but for us it will be quite complicated, and I think we need to let the dust settle a bit more. But I do think we need
something for the budget,
a village plan, or
however you want to call it.
We want to encourage cycle routes. We want to encourage sustainable transport. Because don't get me wrong, the bus itself is a great idea. The way it's been implemented is poor. And the whole idea of having a proper sustainable transport plan is absolutely vital. We need that. It hasn't done what it set out to do. Like, it hasn't stopped people driving their cars to schools. We need to think about exclusion zone around schools. We need to think of air quality monitoring around schools. Yeah.
Which is all going to be part of the local. Well, this is the whole issue with the local plan.
So those are the things I think we need to capture within a village plan. I don't want to call it a neighbourhood plan. So we have a village plan that says these are the things that we would encourage.
And between us and residents, we can identify where we want development. Or where to protect the village in terms of
I think the problem we've got with development is the fact that we have got such limited number of sites. We've got such limited number of sites. There's nothing we can do that is not in the local plan.
No, but that's the point, isn't it? Because at the moment, we can even if we mirror in the local plan, we can firm up our numbers. So
numbers are relevant, because what they've said, district, is the numbers of Pan Epping Forest. So if we have a few less here and a few more in North Weald or something, it doesn't matter. The way things are structured at the moment, we've got more than enough sites in there to cover the allocation.
You're right. But that's the point. With a village plan, we are firming where Chigwell wants it and how they want it. That's the argument.
If they want it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
But I don't think we're in a position to argue now because that's gone through the inspector. The inspector will say.
I thought that is already there, about 700 odd houses.
It's another 400 and something.
And three sites.
Yeah, it's another 400 or something like that.
Is it? Where they come from?
But you see, where I have an issue, right, it is the feedback I'm getting from places like Lymes Farm, right? Now I get repeated inquiries from people from Lymes Farm saying, we've got a growing family, we're in a one-bedroom flat, we want to grow, we want a place that's bigger, and we want to stay in the area. We don't want to move out of Lymes Farm or Grange Hill, we want to stay there. Can you as a councillor help us get an extra place? Well, there isn't any space. And the local plan now is the inspectors now said, well, we're not going to increase it because of access. So the whole idea was really to try and get better utilisation of the space, and that could be something we could talk about in our village plan.
Yeah.
But I think essentially I would like to see more sustainable transport, better cycle routes, green agenda, cutting down the use of cars.
Yeah. And we could focus on not having, the biggest bugbear with a lot of it is houses turning into flats. Is there an opportunity for a park and ride scheme to keep commuters out of the area? Yeah.
We've got two big sites. We've got the police ground and we've got the Girl Guide site. If we could negotiate something with them, could we keep cars out of Chigwell?
Yeah, and obviously, Chigwell Park is residents of constantly.
I know, yeah. Well, that came
Grange Crescent, not so much anymore.
Well, Grange Crescent, we've got a meeting with Kevin Bentley next week to talk about. So, I think we need that.
Loose term of
how we do it is another question, and obviously we need consultation with residents
But it's
to get what they
going
want.
back to the original point. It's some money to enable us to do
that.
So
how much do we need to put in for that?
At this stage, I wouldn't be
10k.
Yeah, I wouldn't be going any more than that.
Fine. So, is there any other projects? Any renewal of equipment, Mark? Anything? Garden equipment?
Not really. I mean, there's obviously a budget for replacement of equipment anyway as it stands year on year, but in terms of anything significant.
Okay. Member of the public?
I think, going back to what you were saying about the sustainable side, which is great, the one thing that I do notice is there's no secure, safe cycle parking at either of the stations for people that do want to cycle. In fact, there's no secure cycle parking anywhere in Chigwell.
No secure
cycle path.
Oh, well that's what I was saying.
Leave your bike and it not get nicked.
Yeah.
Because you can't just
I see.
fix it to a lamppost.
Okay.
If you cycle to the station, what do you do with your bike at the moment?
Okay.
Is the problem.
Yeah.
Or if you cycle into Chigwell, what do you do with your bike?
Yep.
There's nowhere to leave it.
Good idea. How we do that, I don't know, and whose responsibility, I don't know, because if it's highways, it'll end up with county, I think.
Is there space in the car park here to do it?
Yeah. Yeah, there would be. I think, wouldn't there? Put a cycle rack in here. Secure cycle rack.
How many sort of...
6, 10.
I mean, I would suggest you maybe got something...
a huge amount of space, does it?
No, they don't take up, and if there are probably even modular ones that start with half to see how, and if it's getting filled.
You can get the new stacking system.
Yes, you can.
There's a company called Turvik that specialise in that.
I mean, if you want, potentially. Well, you've got the large area of land at the back. If you want something to do with it, potentially, I suppose. I'm just trying to think. I just suddenly thought, well, for a cycle rack.
No, you can't. You couldn't.
Well, we could ask them.
And it's too far from. You can't have people walking through a field
on the edge. But okay, I mean, we could allocate space in the car park here, and that reminds me of something else that we need to think about. Someone's asked me a question: can we put in electric charging points?
I was going to say about electric charging points.
That's something that because the district council have declared a climate emergency, and they're looking at whatever they can do to improve the green credentials. So I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
It's something that we briefly mentioned at the management meeting, but with the new road surfacing going in to the cemetery, the council own the cemetery land as well. It would be an opportunity possibly to start thinking about a cycle route that comes through the cemetery that can then pick up the path that goes over the bridge and brings you out.
How do we consult with the Chigwell Resident Association? Do we have a means of consulting with the Resident Association to ask them to put forward ideas that we might want to consider?
No, Chairman, what I can say, the last management committee, it was suggested in the terms of reference, it was drafted by myself, that we could include members of other residential committees into the management committee.
We can.
However, that was discounted.
Oh.
But what was also slightly more relevant was we were going to put together a communication strategy. That was part of the website.
I don't think it was discounted.
Yeah.
What
I
was
didn't
discounted?
discount it.
What was discounted? Communication
No, I didn't
strategy.
No. About
having
residents.
well, it's in our standing orders that we can invite
Yeah.
members of the public to.
I think what the Jamie was questioning then quickly was that he didn't want them to be on every single.
Was as required or as.
Well, again, if we set up subcommittees, we could do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, yeah. go on.
Yeah, sorry, just a bit. I mean, I've got the audio. It was referred back to full council. The discussion was that there be sort of permanent members on committee as is permitted under the transparency.
It's in our standing orders.
It was referred back to full council.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
not.
But again, you see, I think there was a list of projects, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about it now because it's getting late, but the list of projects wasn't quorum because there was only 2 people allocated. And if we're talking about proper committees, we need a minimum of 3 according to our standing orders. So let's not debate that. What I was trying to get to was any more projects. So we've talked about the neighbourhood stroke village plan. We've talked about electric charging points.
Mm-hmm.
How many charging points?
Is that something you want now to include?
I think so. I think I would like to see that. Well, again, it would come back to the management committee.
My only concern is the length of time you've got before the budget has to be agreed and finalised, and whether you can get that work done.
Jamie, what do you
How
think
long do we
about
have
charging
for that?
points?
I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? Really, in terms of how many we need. We definitely need them going forward, but then as part of the local plan, which this is that you have to now supply them, and you have to make some public use as well on the larger developments.
I'm thinking about our car park here.
Did we not have previously? Was there?
I thought we were going. I thought it had been discussed.
It had been discussed.
He had a
when
company
Alvin was here.
who was going to provide it free of charge or fitted free of charge.
I think we need to. I don't know how much they cost. Can we find out how much it would cost to put 2 charging points in?
No, definitely. I think it's the way forward. They're going to be needed more and more.
Because I think there's also a government consultation document that comes out that says you've got to put in charging points. And I know I've had residents who have been complaining to me because they want street charging, and Essex are not doing that. So the next thing is to put it in car parks. Okay.
There was a classic one in Havering, wasn't there, on the A12?
Well, there's a couple.
They put it in the wrong way. They can't pull up and do it or something like that.
There's a couple in Langston Road at the centre there.
Yeah.
So are we happy with this draft budget at the moment? Do we need to... I think what we're saying is you've got some extra things to put in. CCTV, we might need to increase. Street lights we need to put in for next year. We've got street lights. Street lighting. We've got nothing in for this year.
Yes, 17,000.
Oh, is that 2021?
For the street lighting, the cost is in there for this year. But this budget we're considering it at the moment.
It's not in this one here, is it?
Street lighting.
Not in that one.
Yeah.
For next year it is 2021, but not 1920.
Well, no, it's 1920 is our current budget.
Yeah. I know, that's what I'm saying.
2021 is the one we're looking at.
Yeah.
Yes, so street lighting, there is
Okay.
an allowance for 17,000.
Okay. Anybody got any comments?
Only on the grounds maintenance that it's gone up,
Well, I think yeah.
so just by 2,000.
Well, I think that's the whole point about doing a review of that project to see what it is, the actual costs are. So that should be presented back to the management committee, I would think. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody got any other comments about anything else? I think that's a good starting point. There's commentary alongside of it. We've gone through all the other issues to explain them. Okay, any more questions? Any more issues?
No.
Yes, member of the public.
So just one question about the earmarked reserves. There's 95,000 still left in there. How much was the original amount of earmarked reserves less any section 106 that would have been received? Received 150 section 106. What was the original figure that has been paid in?
The original
earmarked?
regional figure that was estimated to spend on the buses.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't say. I'd have to
Okay.
look into it.
Can you look into it and come back to Selena and copy it to members of the committee, because I'll be interested as well. Thank you very much. Thank you for your indulgence. It's been a painful process, but I think it was worthwhile.
Yeah, it was good, sorted out.
I think we understand a bit more now.
Sorry, there's one more item.
Carry on.
Item 9.
Next meeting.
Oh, date, I think it's in.
Right, when's the next management meeting?
28th of November, Chairman.
28th of November. And
At the moment.
At the moment.
Yeah, this time
So-
of year is not good.
No.
In fact, just
When do we need to-
guidelines in
yeah.
terms of the timetable?
Yeah.
The very latest that the council can have sight of the budget to approve the final budget is going to be the January council meeting.
Right.
The very latest. So, in terms of, you would need a date for the finance committee for this to come back to put the final approval of the budget to then go to council. So
Which has got to be December.
it's going to have to be December if you want to meet the deadline, which is the
Well, we're going to have to meet the deadline.
January. I mean, I prefer
Yeah.
most years to try and get it done by December, but clearly.
Yeah.
it's a bit
When
of a
when
push.
can we do this in December? We've got time frame, Tony.
Well, the December council meeting is on the 12th.
So you'd have to have a finance meeting before the 12th to then get it to council on December. So realistically, you might not have. I don't know if you're going to have time.
And it's not an item we can sort of table. So that means it would have to be before the 6th.
The 5th is the supper club.
Mm. Which is so
The 5th is the what?
the Epping Forest Supper Club.
I mean, if you want the additional work on the cost for electric points,
Yeah.
etc., which is all going to take time, it may well be that we have
Okay.
to accept.
You
that
might
the January council meeting is the one that gets.
Yeah. Final.
So
You might want to talk to James at District, because they might have already done some work on that, on electric charging points, because they've been pushing it as well, and they've already installed some, so they might have some.
Yeah, that just gives you a little bit more flexibility
Yeah.
if you need it later in December for a finance meeting.
The Chairman, if you're considering that option, the January council meeting is on the 9th. Let me just check that.
9th of January.
Yeah. Let me just.
So we haven't got much time either way. 25th of December, anybody, mate?
No problem.
26th
Yeah,
of
that's right.
December.
9th.
Okay, so when would we ideally... So could we have it the following week? Would,
So sort of what you talking the...
well, I'm just looking to see. So we're saying... Could we... Is there any point... I don't think we're going to have time to do it before the 12th, have we? Or the 6th?
Potentially do it on the 4th, what I could.
Four.
Wednesday the 4th.
Yeah, we could do it the 4th.
What are we today? Are we Tuesday today?
Yes.
Third or fourth?
That wouldn't give you time to get any agreed documents out
Yeah.
in time for the
Yeah.
next
Oh.
meeting.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Okay, so that meeting will be on. So we have to do it before the 12th. You're saying?
Yeah,
So
we've
we
got
did it
cabinet-
on
No, not
Monday.
necessarily. It depends on when you
Right,
discuss
we've got the
council.
election on the 12th. We've got a cabinet meeting on the 11th.
Mhm.
There's a Christmas carol service on the 10th.
Mhm.
And there's full council on the 17th.
We've got full council on the 12th, haven't we? At the moment.
I think he's talking about
I'm
this.
talking about district.
Yeah, sorry.
So after the election, so Thursday the 12th, or 17th. Yeah, dates are terrible. Aren't they?
That week.
16th?
Yeah. To be honest, that week I'm not on. Pretty much out every day. So that's the problem. I guess this time of year. But yeah, so.
Well, is there any other date we can go for? The 4th we were not going to have anything done by. The 6th.
That was management. No.
So the
6th. Well, I can't do it. But
You can't. And the 12th is the election, so we're not going to be able to do it on that day. Wednesday's cabinet, so I won't be able to come.
What about the first week of December then?
we're not having anything.
It's
ready.
not enough time.
Oh yeah.
18th of December is...
Unless you just that early meeting you may just get some provisional figures, give you a rough ballpark figure.
I think so.
I think so.
I think if we can have it... When is full council?
The next one's on the
12th.
21st
Of
next week.
November.
No, and then
And
after
when
that,
one after that is...
And the one after that is the 12th of December.
So should we have something... Because the management meeting is probably going to take a long time, so...
Yeah.
12th of December, can we have a rough figure for that? Is that reasonable?
So, okay,
That's
so
the same day as council, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So rather than
It's a reasonable, yeah.
so rather than actually having a full finance committee, just having some.
Yeah,
so
I
you're
think
going for the 12th, finance on the 12th of December?
A budget review on the 12th.
Not full meeting, I don't think.
No.
Now we've got, on the 12th of December, we've also got council.
Yeah, no, that's what we're saying.
Town planning.
So incorporating it within the full council.
Yeah,
meeting.
what is on full council? Do we know? We've got a lot of stuff on full council for that meeting.
What, for the one on the 12th?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know yet. It's very much dependent on the
Okay.
full council on the
Okay.
21st.
And a management meeting on.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even started the...
Okay. Well, I think we're otherwise we're struggling. If we don't do it at that date, we're not going to do it before January, and that's too
Obviously,
We
late.
can
the
incorporate
election
it in the full council.
She's just got the single item for
Yeah.
that budget.
Yeah, always saying
It's only
budget.
a few amendments that you've already asked for.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge amount of
It
grant.
just means being on top of it before we get there.
Just so we can say this is the budget plan for next year. Barry can then say, he's happy that we're not going to increase the precept, and everyone can look at it from that point of view. If it becomes a contentious issue,
In view that these figures, these additional figures to the draft are very much estimates, then there's no pressure on doing it quite early during that week in November.
no, we haven't got time to do it in November.
No, I mean, it's not an awful lot of time.
I think that's the best option.
Okay, so what's your suggestion?
The option is that we present a budget review only, right? Not a full finance meeting, a budget review only of the proposed budget, so that we can at least see what the precept's looking like for next year. Is that your understanding of it?
Yeah, and then that approved budget for finance would go to the January
Yeah.
council meeting.
Okay, and we're not going to have a meeting to approve that.
Not a separate meeting.
We haven't got time. We haven't got any time
Okay.
because no one can make it. I think that's...
Yeah,
No, if that, I mean, that's fine, if that's what the committee decides, but we still need to agree to date the next meeting.
Which is January.
Which can be any time now. Yeah.
I'm not sure, unless, well, you're the clerk, you can tell me, but surely it has to be a formal finance meeting for them to propose it.
Yeah, it does, but
By nature, but it's
By
not-
nature,
it's only
yeah.
going to be like one agenda item. So
yeah,
Can it
but
not
we
be a
still
finance
need a
meeting,
meeting.
but-
Yeah, it
So
will
we
still be a
call the
meeting.
finance meeting after the full council meeting for the 12th and say it's one item, bang.
Yeah.
Bang.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but then the other end of that is we already made a decision we were not going to have 3 meetings in one day.
No, but it's not really 3 meetings.
Okay,
It's
fine.
not, it's not,
12.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah, because that is the only time we can fit it in where everyone's going to be around.
Special dispensation given time of year.
So it will be between the planning meeting on the 12th and the council meeting on the 12th.
Yeah, so before the council meeting.
Okay.
Before council?
Yeah, because you've got proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah, before council, so we can propose it to council, I suppose.
Now, there's a likelihood,
Well,
quite an increased likelihood, that council agenda is going to be quite frenetic and long.
You're in charge of the agenda.
There are 4 members here now, and I know as soon as they realise there are 4 meetings, there are 3 meetings on one day, there's going to be absolute revolution.
Well,
Well, we can explain it.
Okay.
when we send it out, we just send a note out and say, following today's meeting, because of the time pressures and we need to do this by this time, we have no option.
And there's only going to be one item on the agenda.
And the only one item on the agenda, and that's
So
it.
finance 12, 8 o'clock.
I think that's all we can do.
Okay.
Okay. Before I close, is there anything else anybody wants to say? No. Mark, you happy? Well, happy's not the right word, but thank you very much. Ooh. I thought I was going to have a peaceful time tonight.
No, it's good. Happy with that.
There's a 9-day rule regarding the minutes. Just to let you know.
They're very long minutes.
9 days. Get them out.
What are we up to?
Sorry. I think Thursday will probably be the 9th day. I did give it to you.
Tuesday, so we've got 2 days.
Yeah.
You better work tonight.
But does that account because you made an amendment? So you made an amendment to the minutes, so then my 9 days start again.
If I get it in the neck, you get it in the neck.